which is very relevant subject in present scenario. Let us begin the session by invoking the universal prayer. O hidden life, vibrant in every atom. O hidden light, shining in every creature. O hidden love, embracing all in oneness. May each who feels himself as one with thee know he is also one with every other. Come back. Now I would like to introduce Professor Ajai. He is MSc in Zoology and PhD from Gorakhpur University and Nehu, Shillong, respectively. He has been teaching UG and PG students for 44 years and retired as the head of the department. He has also been associated with research work with CSIR and UGC, mostly on development ecology. He is a member of Sarv Hitkari Lodge, Gorakhpur, for the last 20 years. Presently, he is Secretary of Lodge. He is also a member of Executive Committee of UP and UK Federation. He has given many lectures on scientific, social, cultural, and theological topics from time to time, including during International Convention at Adyar. His articles have been published in the Indian Theosophist. Now I request a scientist, Professor Rai ji, kindly present your talk. Professor Rai ji.
Thank you very much, Sushma-ji, for the nice words. I think I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you very much for a very nice word. I welcome and wish all my brethren, all my friends who have joined here to discuss about the topic. The topic is the science of sleep and thereafter the sleeping disorders. Friends, I would like to, before I get into the topic, I would like to just give a brief account on which I shall be which I shall be discussing, which I shall be giving a lecture on. The topic I shall be discussing is regarding the science of the sleep. What actually is the sleep? The question is, what is the sleep? Why is there a sleep? What are the advantages of the sleep? Second is, where do we sleep? There is a question, people say you should not sleep at beneath a tree or an open sky. So what are the factors behind it? Where do we sleep? How should I sleep? There is another way. How should I sleep? Should it be? Should we have towards the right side, toward the left side, or toward the facing the ceiling, etc.? When do we sleep? What time should we sleep? And then, what are the stages of the sleep? When you get into a sleep, you very well know, you get into a dream state, you get into a deep sleep, even you get into a turiya state. And then, what are the stages? Normally, in the science, they says when you sleep. And then, what is the science? What is the biology behind it? What are the races responsible to it? What are the factors responsible to it, which brings about sleep? And then what are the biological secretion? How do the brain interact? How do the brain play the role during sleep? These are the points which I am going to cover in my first lecture. Along with, I shall always also be covering about the sleep disorders. The first sleep disorders are normally, which is called as daytime sleeping. Sometimes you are reading it, sometimes you are listening a lecture, sometimes even in the cinema hall, or you are driving, you are attending a class, or you are somewhere and you get all of a sudden sleep and you become a drowsiness. You develop a sleeping habit, which is called as narcolepsy. This scientifically it is called as narcolepsy. That is this disorder which normally you should be awakened, you should be alert on, but you get a sleep. And some people do get a sleep. We will be talking about this disorder. Then we also be talking during such sleep when you try to see that the listener get awakened, he loses the ability to speak, or languages comes out of it. That is, in the scientific term, it is called as a cataplexy. Why do a cataplexy occur while you sleep? And non-cataplexy, how does it occur? That is how your tongue, how your behavior, you almost get lost into it, everything get blurred. How does it happen? I shall be talking about in this narcolepsy. Apart from narcolepsy, I shall always be talking about sleep talking. That certain people are there, they have a dream, and not only dream, they start talking with the companion they are sitting with. Although it is not very clear what they are speaking about, that is called as a somnology. So scientifically, it is called as a somnology. That is, it is a disorder, and that in that disorder there is a breathing disorder. It also sometimes leads to, जिसे कहते हैं ना, you very often call के नाक बजता है. Why do the नाक बजना occur? That is called as a crathinic disorder, breathing disorder. So ये कैसे होता? How does this happen? We will be discussing about this too. Then the other thing, I shall also be talking about sleeplessness. Very common that we do not have a sleep normally at our, we are tossing on the bed, we are trying to do it, we are trying to get the sleep and not getting it. This is a disease called as, very, you all know, insomnia. Insomnia is, we will be discussing about this too. Nocturia shall also be discussed. This is the reason you must have heard about the old patient normally dying on the morning hours, dawn hours, while during bathroom at around 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. How do this occur? How does this sleep affect that? While sleeping, you sometimes die, or while you get up sometime and then you die. So I shall also be talking about nocturia as a sleeping disorder. Then sexosomia are there. There are people who during sleep they do not know about it and they get involved into a sex with their co-partner. It may, irrespective whether it is a female or a male. This is again a disorder. How does disorder occur and how does the brain play to it? Then there is a certain habit while they sleep. Some normally in the children they get up. This occur at least 1 or 2 times in the lifetime. As per the science says, that then they get up from the bed, reach to the kitchen or some places, eat their favorable item, maybe chips or maybe chocolate or something, whatever it is. Or sometimes they not only eat, they keep certain, they sing songs and then come back and sleep back to the bed. Very much different from that. That is the night, when the people at the night, that is night walking. Sometimes during sleep, people walk. That is also that. So that is somnoblasm that I shall also be talking about. Then we will talking about grinding of the teeth. Sometimes when the people sleep, they grind their teeth, and you must, as if normally our parents says that it is because of the worm in your stomach that you grind it. It's called as bruxism. That is also there. And then there is again during sleep, sometime in the dream or otherwise, you wet the bed. That is, you urinate on the bed. The bed wetting is also there. that is called as inuresia. That is also there. I shall be talking about how this happened during a sleeping disorder. So to start with, I shall start with what the science of sleep. So with the permission, let me start with the Vedic four Mahavakya of the Veda. The four Mahavakya of the Veda is, as you know, Prajan Brahm. That the consciousness exists from the very beginning in all. That is from the absolute, beyond the absolute time and the space. The second is the Tattva Mashibram, that consciousness, that Brahman is present in every part. And the third is that state Tattvamasi Aham Ayam Brahm, that I do also contain the Brahma in me. And finally, Aham Brahma, that I am a Brahma. Why do I take about this? Because as the four stages occur, similarly in the sleep, even in the theosophy, we talk about the four stages. One is the waking state, then we have a sleeping state, dream state, deep sleep state, and a turiya state. That is how it happens. So similarly, this as it happened in the universe, as we have all read, the universe, there is a periodicity, law of periodicity in the universe. There is a period of activity, and the second period is the period of rest, what we called as a Brahma's days. The Brahma days in inhalation, when they exhale, the world, the universe get into an action, and when it inhale, everything get dissipated and dissolved in that universe, what we call as a black hole. To understand, this is essential from a monadic development. When it get to duality, the duality law of periodicity occur. There is a light stage and a dark stage. Similarly, on the same pattern, the sleep occurs. Now coming down, how does the sleep affect? So it is this, that as you know, these are all the stages of the consciousness. Similarly, what is there? There is a four yuga when we talk about. First is the Satyuga Yuga, when there is a pure consciousness, and then Treta Yuga, and then there is a Dwapar Yuga, and then a Kali Yuga. So all this period, similarly, there when you sleep, there are four stages of a consciousness. We shall be discussing about it in a great detail. But the first question arises, how do we define a sleep? What is a sleep? So sleep can be defined as, halla nahi karo, sleep is necessary. I just repeat it. How do you define a sleep? Sleep is necessary for life, for vitality, for rejuvenation. And not only that, it is present in all animals, prevalent in all animals, predominantly visible in higher animals, especially in the mammals. All mammals do sleep, in the one way or the other. But I shall concentrate my lecture mostly on the sleep of a human being. Sleep, as I said, is a necessary for the life and present in the all animal. It gives physically, psychologically, mental rejuvenation. Now imagine it, during sleep, as in the pralaya is a state. It is not only a complete silence, but it is a state of getting revitalized, getting re-prepared, rejuvenated for the new manvanta, for the new creation. So similarly, when you get tired how? When you get tired physically, psychologically, mentally, then, or physiologically, then, in order to rejuvenate, in order to repair the cells which have got exhausted during the daytime, by all this faculty to repair those cells, and we have created a lot of toxicant in the body. So in order to get it detoxified, in order to get it removed from the body, so what is there? So sleep is that process which also increases the metabolic energy. In the morning you are very active, you can do it, but as the time passes and by the evening you get exhausted and you come home and ask for a cup of tea and relaxation or some music, so that the lactic acid or the other acid you have accumulated in your body, that is called as the toxicant which you have accumulated in body, get either converted back to the forces, back to the better material, or it should be eliminated out from the body. So that is increase metabolic energy, improve your immune system response, vitalizes your physiology, morphology, that is all your structural form, make them viable and rich with vitalities to face the new challenges of the new day. On the dawn, when you get up, so sleep is a process broadly of refreshment, rejuvenation, recharging yourself, detoxification, and so that when you get up in the morning, you are purely vitalized. You are full of the energy to perform with the new challenges in the new dawn time. It also brings relaxation the major way. Now the question is, when you get into a sleep, you are so many of it. The two things you must remember it. Sleeping not merely detoxicates you, it also provides relaxation to your muscles and body tissues. Before going to the bed, either you perform mental exercise, mental work, or a physical work. When you get on the bed, you have a certain tightness or tiredness in your muscles, and certain pain or some laziness in the body. It is because of the actin or the muscles, that is the muscles which contain the glucose present of the muscle get converted into acid, normally in lactic acid, that has to be eliminated, and that brings about sluggishness in you. So in order to get rid of it, you have to go for the sleep. So to remove and to that is how the active and myosin, which get active and myosins are the two muscles responsible, which brings about the movement, volunteer and involuntary movement in all your muscle structure, maybe cardiac, maybe muscular, wherever the muscles are, that get purified, that get corrected upon. So regulation, it also, when you come it, when you get into a meditation, your respiration rate is at the optimum. You very slow. You utilize your energy very well. But when you come after lot of tension or after exhaustion, the respiratory rates are not that good. But during that period, the it corrects other the equilibrium of the body, other harmonic equilibrium of the body, and it also regulates the heartbeat, which we get disturbed, also get corrected during sleep, and correlation of the thermoregulation during the ride. When you get into a sleep or a daytime, large amount of energy is being used. The energy is being used. I'm using a slightly, it must be known about it. Are the ATP energy, the adenosine triphosphate energy. That energy molecule get converted into a smaller molecule, adenosine diphosphate. So this conversion of ATP into ADP not only produces energy, but it also produces heat. So you get exhausted not only by the consumption of the energy, but also of the heat. But you know our body temperature is always at a 98.4 degree Fahrenheit. But when you are in the exhaustion or when you are in a tension, the temperature is never at the optima. It is either less or more. The sleep again, that in the biological term called, it gives into the homeostatic phase, where the temperature again come back to the stage of a normalcy, and your activity your metabolism, that is your production of the energy, your consumption of the energy, is at the stage of the optimal level. So this is how the things actually, this is how we define, what actually the sleeping means and what are the advantages of the sleeping. Now, coming down to the sleeping, there is a research work done by a great scientist called as his name, he is Wallace B. Mendelson. He has done 40 years of the research work from University of Chicago. He was head of department for the study of sleep disorder center at the Cleveland at Chicago University. He has worked out, and he has said that the sleep depends upon the various factors. We do also know if we have a very heavy food, we will not have a good sleep. So it is not only the food which controls your sleeping. So normally people advise you to take your last dinner before the sun gets set, almost in the dusk hour, not very late. Do take a light food when it is, because enzymes are hormone are more released and formed during the period when the light is there. So people advise you not to eat, especially those things which are vital or a heavy thing which is very rich of protein or a fat or something. So what, the first thing is the sleep depends upon this physical equilibrium which get disturbed by our bad habits and by the food quality. Then it is again a physiological system. If you are ill, physically ill, if you are having some heart problem or some other problem, then you may not have a very sound sleep or a quick sleep get disorder to it. Third is a mental state. If you are in a stress and you have not gone for the meditation to get the stress release, you may not get a sleep, very sound sleep, or you may not get into the initial stage of the sleep as well. The fourth is socially, the society, if there is a big sound of the marriage in your house, there is a big sound, there is a less silence, or there is a, so you are socially got disturbed, the sleep may not be there. And then the psychological factor is also there. The psychology also is important that do play. That is why the people say that you must get into a meditation tone for at least 15 hours, 15 minutes before the sleep, and have a less food, and etc. etc. I shall also tell you how this helps you when we get into a different form, when we get into a detail of it. Now, considering that sleep, let us just give few example to it. A person, let us say a child, who is to get an award next morning, or let us say it is a Christmas time, and he is awaiting for the Christmas gift from a Santa Claus, that is Father Nicholas. On the coming morning, he will have a dream, he will have a sleep, and he is eagerly waiting the light to pass, and his sleep will be a pleasant one. Although, because of the psychological factor, because he is too much involved, too much awaiting for the award to get from the Santa Claus, he may not have that sound sleep which he should. So this is one of the psychological factors. Second factor you can very well realize in the person who has been sentenced to death, and he is to be hanged next morning. So in that case, when he has to be hanged next morning, his sleep cannot be. He cannot either sleep, but he shall be dreaming, he shall be thinking about his past, and his mental place and his sleeping will be very, very erratic and very, very will be painful. So these are the factors which always controls to get sleep. Similarly, uh, sleep at the times give you the glimpse of the wonderful experience of the real world. So sleep sometimes takes you to when it touches your unconscious mind to a memory of the past life even or the past incident by which you come to know about it. Or sometimes it get into a super conscious level where you can know about your future too. So sleep and a dream thereafter are correlated about your psychic, physiological, or a mental state. Sleep after healthy sleep and getting a vitality and readiness to face the new challenges of the world. This experience, there are some certain people who get rejuvenate when you get at the fourth stage of the when I shall be talking about when you get into the fourth stage of the awareness, when that is rotatory eye movement stage, the fifth stage comes after. When you get up with the energy inside you. But there are the people who are so lazy, who does not want to get out of it. Their hormonal balance, their hormonal equation is slightly different. One of the historical case come of the Kumbhakaran. Kumbhakaran slept for the 6 months. If it is true, he was a perfect lazy man. The clock behind that is a circadian. We have a biological clock inside us. That biological clock was not related either to this cosmic. We have all got a relation to it. When the night comes at a certain hour, we get into a sleep. When the morning comes, maybe a certain hour your clock is so much tuned to that you get awakened to. But in that case, he kept on sleeping. That is, he is not coordinated with his biological clock. That is called as the circadian cycle. Nobel Prize has been awarded to it, which I shall be coming later to. So our body depends on the elaborate mechanism of the circadian cycle or the waking and the sleep as a periodical day and night or as a periodical day and night clock. So this circadian cycle can has been acknowledged by the Nobel Society, and there are three persons named as J.C. Hall, Michael Rosbach, and Michael Young. They have been awarded Nobel Prize in 2017 for the explanation of the circadian cycle. That is that biological clock which is in you. That is a sleep cycle which regulates your sleep and awaken cycle, which is in you. And they have observed, their findings are very interesting. They have observed that brain have that inner clock. And how do you know that the brain have that inner clock? Yes, when you get into a coma and when the secretion get disturbed, that is, certain secretion get declared for amygdala and other thing. What happens? That you do not get awakened. Your physiology do happen, but you are into a deep sleep. Or when anesthesia is given before that, your sleeping cycle get disturbed. So that is say the brain they have recorded that the brain have that inner clock, and the brain regulate the secretion accordingly to get into either a deep sleep or to get awakened from it. And how did it happen? The brain has a link with a periodic gene. And the periodic genes, they said this also regulate at the if you are have a habit of having a tea at a 5 o'clock, you feel a urge of having a tea at a 5 o'clock, or you have a habit of having a lunch at about 11 o'clock before going to either college or to an institution. You feel hungry at the time of that. So it is not merely a circadian cycle. So that there is a gene in your system, in your chromosome, called as a periodic gene, which regulates it. And then there is a diurnal and that is a diurnal as well as the annual cycle. That is a day and night cycle is there, day and cycle of activity. And there is an annual cycle of circadian cycle, very well known about the migratory birds. You must have heard about it. That the bird from the far, from the Europe gets into the Siberia in the winter season and they get back to the same place. the fishes do migrate, and the migration of the fishes from the sea water to the fresh water, as the salamander do, is called a catadromous migration. It is a scientific name, and similarly, the fishes do migrate like a eel. They come from Ganges water to a sea for the breeding, and then for the living, they get back into. They have a capacity to undertake two different type of pH, two different type of limnological condition, the water condition. They are able to do it. But how do they do it? It is because of the inner gene inside it. Why do the bird migrate invariably in a definite period of the season to a definite place for the breeding and for the feeding? Is because of the periodical gene. That has been done, that has been explained by G.C. Hall and his colleague, that is the Michael and Young, to explain the circadian cycle. They also said that by analysis of the circadian, the protein produce of the that is a period gene, you can know about the epigenetic age of the man. What is this as the epigenetic of the man? You can predict when the certain disease in you will arise, not only because it is all periodicity. I never had. I now have a diabetic, but how do I have a diabetic? I developed a diabetic after, say, 60 years or 65 years. Before that, I never had it. It triggered it. It came that the genes became, which was responsible for the producing of insulin, has stopped. Why stop? Because the period where that immune system or regenerating system were not able to reproduce it back the amount which was there in that period. So my insulin secretion has got down. Similarly, the serotonin and melatonin secretion of the pineal body, which are responsible for sleeping as well as activity awakening area, get you by analysis of this gene, you can know, and they have proved that you can predict in the certain animal, they have been able to predict it, that this is the time of the death, because the melatonin secretion in their body has increased to that level. So by the circadian, which is responsible for the sleeping cycle, this circadian cycle is there. So sleep is a kind of a social behavior inside a species and in a very different animal. When I talk about it, just think about it. Sleeping is also a social behavior. What type of a social behavior? Example of the baboons. Baboons lives in a group, and there is a one who's the leader of the group is called as the alpha baboon. And there are the other baboons who are just junior to him. He's not the leader, but he is the second in the family. They are called as the beta baboon. Then there are the ladies, that is the female baboons, the children. All of them live together in a big group. So what actually happened? The alpha baboon directs one of the beta baboon to have to be awakened from this period to this period in order to fight from the carnivore, that is from the leopard or other animal which are very fond of the baboon as a food, in order to. So their sleeping has a social. So sleeping is not an individual workout or a individual restricted to one individual only. It is a social phenomena, and the best example goes to the baboon, and also into a certain fishes which leads the migration from the seawater to this water, or from a seawater to another seawater. So this example is a very interesting example. And then they go for the two. The one, they look downside in order that any leopard or the tiger may not come to the top, or to the cave, or where they are standing, where they are sleeping, where the family is. And the other looking up is there for the big birds, eagle and etc., not to come down, catch hold of the young one or the weaker one as their food. So the behavior, sleeping, gardening of the sleeping or sleeping time gets, that is the circadian time, the sleeping time can be regulated on the social requirement too. Now, there is again the case like we often use sleeping together for the various regions. There are tribes who sleep together. It's again a social region. For what? For the respectability, for the politeness, and for the protection. Then the tribe who sleep together. It is kind of a delicate uh, uh, physiological, psychological phenomenon. And they may be uh, the reason for the social bonding as well. Sleep is also related to the physical and the mental health. Disrupted sleep leads to diabetes. The one who keeps on disrupted sleep lead to the patient of the diabetes and such related disorders. Good night sleep is in which a good night sleep is always good for the health. People even advise the student who are facing the examination to have a good night's sleep rather than to go for a rigorous whole night study just before examination. Why? Because good night sleep is better than all night study. They not only get you exhausted, you are interfering with the nature's law and thereby disturbing the equilibrium, which is hormonal equilibrium or the homeostatic equilibrium of yourself. So that is why they say that good night sleep is very important. Good night sleep is better than a whole night study. Similarly, I will not be out of place to mention a case of uh, Alexander the Great in the year 331 BC, before the battle of Gaugamela against the Persian army. He kept sleeping for a larger period. So deeply was he was in a sleep that his general were not able, normally, that his general were not able, were not having courage to awaken him. So he slept. An officer got worried because the time for the preparation, time for the fight was fast collapsing, fast passing on. So what he did was, after a sound shoot, but when the senior most general asked him, he got awakened, and then he was with so much of energy, slightly more sleeping, provided him this sound sleep provided him with so much of energy that although the Persian force was better equipped, larger in number, could not face the ferocity of the Alexander, and he defeated them. So sleep for a time period, sleep will always vitalize you to face all the challenges. Now, coming down to the sleep, in the scientific way, when we take now coming down the how much awareness is there in the sleep while sleeping, the period of sleep, or how much alert are you when a certain response comes to it. I will give you an example. The example is the sound which makes you awake is called as auditory arousal threshold sound. It varies from time to time. It varies from condition to condition. A mother a mother can awake on a small shrill sound of her child cry, and the same mother, if the affect is because of the affection, because of the attachment, the psychological attachment, and the same mother will not awake even with when there is a sound of a truck, or when there is a deep horn coming from it, she will not come to, because the sentiment attachment to it. So the sleep arousal, the sound used as a waking, as a auditory arousal threshold, differs. A mother can awake on a small shrill sound of her child cry but may sleep as on a deep horn and the sound of truck. Hence, it depends upon the variety of factors. Normal auditory response are different from the light sleep stage. And then there is the stages of the sleep which also guides it. On the light sleep stage, you may get up at a very early hour, but at the deep sleep stage, you may take time to get up. Now, coming down to certain cyclical, let us come now, because the time is fast fleeting off. Let us come to the certain work which has been done on the sleeping. The first person who has worked on it was Aristotle. Aristotle believed that sleep is the result of the vapors arising from the stomach and the vapor reaching to the heart. The heart is the center. He believed, even in his development biology, he said that once the heart is formed, the heart produces the blood circulation, reaches it, and that blood circulation stimulates an organ. This is the Aristotle work for the how the development, how the one small cell get converted into a baby. He said that it is through the blood that the pores get into it. He again says that it is the vapor which arises from the stomach and it reaches to the heart, and the heart thereby give a signal to the brain, and the brain thereby affect you and then causes you the sleep. Similarly, a man called as a Kitty Man in the 1930, Nathaniel Kitty Man, he said he analyzed the sleep rhythm and its relationship with the other body cycle and daylight behavior. He said that the daylight behavior and circadian cycle are responsible to it. Similarly, Berger applied EEG, electroencephalogram. That is magnetic imaging of brain cell by electroencephalogram to measure the brain wave activities during different stages of the sleep. Also conducted tests on the sunlight and heat to know the changes of the human body and the sleeping period and the stages of sleeping. Similarly, Ginny Serenki, he studied eyeball movement. He studied eyeball movement to know how the sleep occurs. Freud called Roger. He studies a relation between a dreaming and subconscious mind. Similarly, Tillman, he developed the sleep as a pleasure that makes the world both brighter and safer. Normally, 8 hours sleep is good for a normal human being, but in the children, it is needed for a more time because morphogenic that because the child is developing, he requires less of the energy get utilized to it. So we ask for children, we see our newborn baby sleep for 20 hours, 18 hours, and that is all good. That is the energy which is used for. Then Professor Wallace B. Mendelens, he has done 40 years of the research for the sleep disorder at the Sleep Disorder Center at the Cleveland University of Chicago and he developed the reasons for the various sleep disorder, which I shall be explaining how do they occur in the time after time. And then Alfred Room used electro-ocular system to know the sleeping activity. And now coming down to the stages, because time is fast fleeting, so I shall be going slightly fast now. Now coming down to the sleeping stage, the sleeping cycle has been defined by, as I told you, has been defined by Mendelens from the Cleveland University, from the sleep department of Cleveland, Chicago. He said the stage one, there are 5 stages of the sleep, as I described it. The 5 stages of the sleep one is a light sleep state. When you get to the bed, then you do not get into fast sleep. You try to sleep it, You are having certain things moved in your mind, certain memories are coming. There is slightly ache in your body, but it is getting relaxation, the breathing coming into control. It is marked by the slow eye movement, reduced muscular activity, and it is about 4 to 5% of the sleep. And then the second is the eye movement. The eye movement stops. Second stage, at this stage, the movement, when you open the eye, as at the first initial stage, you will find that the eyeball is slightly moving up and down. But in the second stage, this movement get reduced and come to the almost stopping stage. Brain waves become slower. Now it is the brain which controls, as I told you, the periodic genes are there and brain control, for which the circadian award has been awarded, for which the Nobel Prize has been awarded in 2017. So they say the wave becomes slower, and in between, occasional bursts of a rapid wave are seen. They are called as a sleep spindle. It contains 45 to 50% of the sleep. 45 to 50% of the sleep period is this. When the thing get normalizes, the waves comes down, and now you are getting into sleep. The muscular plane are all almost subsidized. Now, stage 3 is marked by extremely slow wave called as a delta wave. This wave begins to appear in the larger number. In between, smaller, faster wave appear. Apart from a delta wave, now theta wave, alpha wave, beta wave, these are all the waves you must heard about it. They come from the wave, and it all have a different wavelength and different pitches. So different Hawks. So the wave in between, while the delta wave which provides coolness to you, in between the spark of those fast waves do come, and there the spindle comes, that is called as a spindle. It contains upon 40 to 50 hours. And then stage 3, extremely slow wave called as a delta wave. This delta wave begins to appear at a rapid number, and this in between a smaller, faster wave appear. It cause twist and change. When you keep, this is the period, at this period of the stage 3, when you are sleeping on the bed, you twist around. You either go to the left side or to the right side. जैसे कहते हैं करवट बदलना होता है. You keep on करवट बदलते रहते, कभी सीधे आते हैं. So why do you do that? It is all by the control of the brain, and that control of the brain is, and this period only occurs for 4 to 5%. And then you can, all the stages keeps on changing, you get on changing from first to the second phase. So after that, then the other stage comes is a deep sleep state. In this deep sleep state, delta waves are extremely, a very high number of delta waves are produced. And this delta wave, at this stage, the awakened person becomes, it is very difficult to awake the person who get into a deep state, that is the deep stage 4. If you try to, he will not easily get awakened. And on awakening, the person becomes difficult. On awakening too, the person get into normalcy will take time. He will be just days. He will not be able even to recognize what happened. He seems to be lost all around. So what will he do? It is difficult for the person to get oriented. He is mostly disoriented, and this constitutes about 12 to 15% of the sleeping period. And the last, which causes all the problems, is a rotatory eye. The first 4 stages is mostly called as a non-rotatory eye movement, NREM. And the last stage is called as the rotatory eye movement. At this stage, breathing becomes irregular, not only irregular, more rapid and shallow. Eye jerk rapidly. There is eye movement from upside, downside, right and left side in various directions. Limb muscle temporarily get paralyzed. Your limb muscles, if you if you touch the hand of the people sleeping and move from this place, you will not be able to know it. It almost gets paralyzed. Heart rate start from a very, very normal, start increasing, and blood pressure rises. All these things brings upon the abnormality in the person. He start either talking, he start either moving, that is the night, that sleep movement he start, and so as the thing. So in that cases, this is the stage which which is recovery happen. On awakening, people describe about ill, when if you get them awakened, he will talk about illegal, something not understandable tale. So in the sleep, like when they are in the dream, they happen. Thus, there are thus causes of the sleeping disorder, and this sleeping disorder I described earlier is comes during the rotatory REM phases. Now, what are the things? What are the brains which do this? The delta wave is about 3 to 5 hours and does body repair. It gives a detoxification, re-energization during sleep, and similarly affect you get the effect with the delta wave as when you get into a meditation, or when you get into a chanting of a home, the vibration creates into you, the similar vibration is produced into it. Then the theta wave is slightly more than that. It occurs during deep sleep stage and can be seen during meditation. What you feel during meditation, the delta waves come. Similarly, in the deep sleep stage, is again a meditating stage. You get into a recovery, provide relaxation, intuitive powers, memory recovery, increase during sleep. Auto immunization starts. By this, repair and rejuvenation of the cell, and detoxification occur with the help of the theta wave. Alpha wave is a state of relaxation. At this time, the mind eye get closed, a state of inner silence is there. It can be generated by the yoga practice too, and is used to treat many psychosomatic disorders. The persons are provided. This is one of the way of the treatment is a psychosomatic order. Beta rays, beta rays help in the learning, help in the memory, in the mental goals, and causes waking phenomena. Similarly, gamma waves, which is of the 20, 30 hertz, is cause of a love and compassion. And love and compassion, which you again, while sleeping, you have different, and the views changes because of. And this similarly, hyper gamma stage comes. That is again is the stage of a turiya, when you get into trance meditation, a metapsychic experience, and spiritual bliss. So I have a very little time. Before that, I will just come to a very important part, that how should we sleep? A very common thing. What should be the way of sleeping? I shall be giving you. So there are two main views regarding sleeping. One come by Sita Nath Bose. Sita Nath Bose says that we should sleep with the head towards north side. Similarly, an Englishman called as a Rich Van Wich, born Von Rich Van Wich, he believed they sleep with the head toward north. He said that should not sleep with the head. Both says we should not sleep with the head towards north. But while the born one, Rich Van says that we should sleep with the head towards north. Now, very interesting observation come from the Madame Blavatsky. Madame Blavatsky considered both to be right. Sleeping should be in symmetry with the electromagnetic waves, which is different at a different part of Earth. Hence, sleeping direction differ according to the sites, waves direction, that is electromagnetic waves direction, Broadly, there are three main magnetic waves he has notated. The one north hemisphere wave that moves from the north pole to the south pole. Second, the equatorial wave, which moves from the east to west side. And third is the southern hemisphere wave, which moves from the south to north. So if you are at the south hemisphere, it will be different way of the sleeping as well as not. So thus, a sleeping should be in the manner that the wave should pass from a head to leg in a synchronized form with the body's wave, synchronized form with the body's wave and celestial wave. That is electric. It should be the wave should be moved from the positive side to the negative side. Right? The second wave, the second he says, the wave flow from the head to leg should be from the positive side to the negative side, especially to the people who are living in the northern hemisphere. Then he says, the left hand, right leg have positive charges, where the left hand, left leg has the negative charges. And the charge moves from one pole, that is from a positive to negative, etc. Thus, the current flow from the right to left. So your sleeping should be in this accordance. Saint Gargi, science has not spoken much about it, but Saint Gargi and Saint Markandeya have explained the sleeping pattern for the people from plain land to the land to the people who are at the hilltop. Before sleeping, he has described it, and you can also practice for those who do not have a good sleep at a night or do not get sleep as soon as they get on the bed. You can reduce that period by doing the exercise as directed by these things. They says before sleeping, 16 long breaths, first on the left side to be taken, as if you are exhaling the intoxicant from your stomach or body. Then you get into the middle, you do double of it, that is 32 breath from this side, that is from face facing up. And then you turn towards the left side, that should be the side you should sleep, and you must give 30, 16, sometimes it is 8, 16, 32. And if you have a chronic patient, it should be 16, 32, and 64. For initial people who are not having a chronic problem, they can go for 8, 16, and 30. Then you do 32 times or a 64 times. That's just a double of it from the left side, taking out the breath.
Sir, we are crossing the time limit. 1 hour is going to complete.
But in 5 minutes, I am completing it.
Cloud allow for 1 hour only.
Okay, okay, okay. So, but just I will complete this.
Complete. Yes.
Will you permit, or should I stop it for the next day?
No, you complete 2-3 minutes.
Okay, okay, thank you. So the sleeping depends, as the Markandeya says, depends upon the altitude or the latitude you are sleeping. He has also pointed out that we should not sleep on the ground without any cloth or any. We should not sleep with a silk cloth. We should not sleep below a tree. We should not sleep on the road. We should not sleep on the open sky. We should not sleep with a wet cloth or with a wet leg, or we should not sleep nude. We should not sleep on the grass or on a mountain top. It can be done. So if you have a practice, or you are going to a yoga practice, or you are a tantric, you can do it. Sleeping on the back, that this is again a point you should know. Sleeping on the back, head towards east, all system lives in the coordination. So you sleep with the head toward east, with the back, especially in this area. Head toward north, head and leg are in order, while as hand is not in the coordination. Head toward south, head and leg in coordination, hand not in order. Head is to the west, all system gets into a disorder. So do not sleep with the head toward the west side, coming to this side. Sleeping on the stomach has just a reverse reaction. Whatever I said this, it is advisable sometimes to sleep on the stomach, but then if the sleeping of the stomach with the head at the east, head and leg are in the coordination, hard hand is in the just opposite to what I have been said. See, sun is the source of the light through electromagnetic wave. Hence, east is the positive source and the west thus become a negative charge. The nature or the aura is governed by the negative force. Sleeping head towards the west affect the concentration of the mind. Sleeping towards the eastern side affect the longevity of the person and affect pineal gland secretion. Pineal gland secretion, melatonin, is responsible for your sleeping cycle. And last example, that happens with the Ganesh tea. When the Sunny Dev, you must have heard about the Ganesh story. Ganesh was produced by the Parvati ji, and when he was guiding her as per her direction, then the Shiv came and the hapatla and hair cut it. It is all because the order the head was kept. So Shiva asked him, it is because of the Sunny Dev that when he looked into, he could not see the head, so the head has to be removed. So Shiva asked that you go to the jungle, found the first animal, newly born, and bring it with the head towards the north side. So the head towards the north side of an elephant, baby elephant was brought and was grafted into the head of the Ganesha's body, and the Ganesh became the god of wisdom. More things are to be done and to be spoken, but because of the paucity of the time, I am stopping at this moment, and we will meet again and explain it in the greater detail about the further act, the chemicals and the biological and the physical reaction, how the sleep comes to you, and how the mother song or the patting of the head brings about sleep. What waves thus are produced will be the talk and disorder of the next meeting. Thank you for your cooperation and for permitting me an additional time. I will see to it that it get completed into a period, a stipulated period in the next meeting. Thank you once again. And if any question, I am ready to reply.
Thank you very much, Professor Ajay Raiji, for your wonderful and clear exposition on the subject. You have beautifully dealt with multi-dimensional aspect of sleep. You have thrown light on the basic questions and also scientific aspects of sleep. Now the forum is open. Participants can ask questions from speakers, or if they want to add something, they are most welcome.
I think the question will come when we'll be discussing about disorder more.
Yes.
It is more a scientific flow.
Okay.
Next on 16th, there will be time for discussion.
Okay.
I told it is a time of a Holi approaching. I wish everyone a very happy Holi. I myself has been too much engaged elsewhere, but then I had to give it to the past I could do. And I wish that India win. We are all also involved in the cricket match. That is the final which is going on. Let India win, and all of you a very, very happy.
It started just a few minutes back, India batting. So
Acha.
from 22 to it is now reduced to 11. So already 12 listeners left our program. Anyway,
Okay. If there is no question, we will proceed for closing prayer. Asato ma sadgamay, asato ma sadgamay, tamso ma jyotirgamay, mrityorma amritam gamay. From the unreal lead us to the real, from darkness lead us to light, from death lead us to immortality. Sarve bhavantu sukhna, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। शांति, शांति, शांति. Thank you, Professor Ajai ji, and thank you,
Thank you. Thank you very
participants,
much
for
for
joining.
cooperation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.